Welcome to A&B Horror Movies. I'm Aaron, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by John Berardo. John, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course, you're very welcome. So I have you on today to talk about your brand new film, The Mannequin.
Then Jane Mansfield, Betty Page. How about we take a few with the dress on?
Jack? Jack!
This is huge.
I know.
What's back here?
Oh shit, I thought that was a real person.
So, where'd you get this?
Did you get that when you started staying there?
Yeah. All three of us. We're not really sure what it's from.
Hazel, what are you doing?
Hazel.
The building was first used as a mannequin factory, operated by photographer Jack Berardo.
So, you're saying that a dead serial killer is doing this to us?
Yes. We are going to provoke and trigger the spirits with prayer. Liana?
No. No!
All in the name of Jesus Christ, I command you, leave!
Congratulations. I've watched it twice. I think it's amazing. Your new horror thriller is just plain awesome, and I can't wait to chat with you about it today. So,
Thank you.
yes, of course. So let's jump right into it. My very first question for you about The Mannequin is what was the inspiration for this new horror film that you've created? Mannequins can be creepy and scary in themselves, and I think you've taken it to the next level because you can see the mannequin right there.
Yeah. So basically, in this loft that I'm sitting in right here, I moved in here a long time ago when I was at USC, and I moved in here with two filmmakers from USC, and one of them filmed a movie. It was like a comedy with mannequins, and then when he graduated and moved out, he left all of the mannequins here. So, like for example, like the legs that are right there,
I can see
that's like
them. Yes.
that's an original mannequin that was left here, and so over it was over the years I just started doing different types of like mannequin art, and it was during the pandemic that I just continued to craft a lot of these different sculptures from these mannequins, and I would like seek out mannequins in downtown LA to like continue creating like hands coming out of tables and jazz like that. And ultimately I came up with the idea for it around the pandemic, and sort of like as we were sort of releasing Initiation, a lot of the feedback about the core three girls in the movie really kind of
Mhm.
inspired me. Like, you know what? I'm going to write another movie for these three girls. And then, of course, like the whole team behind the Initiation, I felt like I wanted to try and get as much of us back as possible. Yeah, exactly. Get another movie going. And so that's really kind of how the fruits kind of just all blended together into the plant that grew into the movie.
Mm, I love that. And so you wrote and directed The Mannequin, your new film. You also appear in it as a questionable landlord. Was that always your intention? And what was it like stepping on the other side of the camera, I guess?
It actually wasn't always my intention. I actually, believe it or not, I wrote that role because nowadays whenever you make a movie independently, you really need to have a sellable face like internationally. And so I
Mm,
really kind of wrote that role for someone to cast like that. But when the we did the first read through with the three core girls, they were both just like you have to play this role. So from the beginning, I would say after the first read through, that kind of was the intention, was that I would play that character, because it is kind of meta if you think about it. Like,
mm,
I'm in loft space, the actors would come here and we'd workshop the script. So it kind of gave the movie a bit more of a meta sort of outward looking in kind of inside joke for us.
Mhm. I love that. And I love the twist at the end. No spoilers, but it's just fantastic if you ask me. So I do have to bring up the mannequin design because it's very creepy. I'm going to show it again. As you can see here on the cover, the eye, the blood, everything about it. What was the design like for creating? I mean, like I said, mannequins themselves are pretty damn scary. But look at this one. So what was that like? What was the evolution like? And how many different mannequins did you have to use when creating the film?
So basically, it all started with our production designer, Emily Peters, who was we actually went to USC together, but this was my first movie to work on with her. And I was just so ecstatic to work with her because she's done such phenomenal work on a couple of my friends' films and just a real artist. And so she said to me at the very beginning, she was like, this mannequin's the Annabelle doll. Like it has to be the right mannequin and it needs to be period appropriate. So she
Mhm.
did all of her research, and there's actually a factory, I think it was in LA. I'm not quite sure, but they basically created, different eras of mannequins. And believe it or not, the mannequin that we had originally gone for, she had these like bright blue eyes and I would say a bit maybe like kinder of a face. But I think it was kind of fate that she was unavailable because we then had to go with our second choice, which I actually liked a lot more because she had these deep brown eyes, which I thought was more reflective of the lead actress. And, I felt really, really good about it because she had a bit of a meaner scowl to her face. Like she's a mannequin. She just don't care about anything. She has that like, I'm too busy for you kind of, like
Yes.
pop look about her.
Right, right. I don't need
Really
clothes.
popular.
I'm just going to stand here looking
Yeah.
naked and cool
And she's like
and scary.
7 feet tall. Well, maybe not seven, like 6.5 feet tall. Like she's really tall. And
Oh my
so
gosh.
basically, maybe not six, maybe no, I'm like 5'11", and I would say she's a bit more than my height. So
Mm.
it's interesting. She's a large statue. And so basically we found her, we liked her, and we had 3 different mannequins. We got 3 different versions, I believe 3, maybe
Okay.
4, but I'm thinking it was 3, just through the different phases of the mannequin because the movie we've got like a 1950s, we've got a present day,
Mhm.
so like a clean mannequin, we need a mannequin that looked like it had aged, and so we had 3 of those, and when it comes to the design of like the eye movements and everything,
Yes.
um, that kind of was an earlier sort of idea. It began with the possessions because
Mhm.
I knew that I wanted the face of whoever was being possessed to be unique in a way that we hadn't seen before and like eerily creepy in the same way that mannequins are. And so actually all of our investors on this movie are in the medical field. And one of them's an anesthesiologist. His name's
Oh
Sanjay.
wow.
Yeah, and when people go under, like when they're put under, if you like, lift their eyelids, you see their eyes kind of like shifting and like slightly shaking a bit when you're under anesthesia. So uh, we kind of took that to the next level for the eyes of the possessed girls. And after I want to
Mhm.
say our first test screening, somebody was like, what if, like we got like people wanted eerie scares earlier. That's just a constant, I would say, note that I've learned on my second movie is when you have test screens, people
Mhm.
want like bigger, more scares sooner. And I would say as time goes on, they want more and more.
Yeah.
And so, obviously I thought, well, how can we do this? And then it just kind of like came to me that we could VFX, like really just allow like scenes with the mannequin instead of it just being a creepy mannequin. What if the mannequin's eyes started to move in the same way that the girl's eyes did? So that kind of, it was an
It's
evolved process.
it's so effective and creepy and it just works so well. Um, I have to go back to something you were saying. The nicer looking mannequin wasn't available. Did she have some another commitment or something?
I think it had to do with the manufacturing of it.
Oh, I see.
Like,
Okay.
because
Okay.
they had to
I,
be
I joke,
manufactured.
but
Yeah, and I think we weren't going to be able to get it in time.
Mm-hmm. Well, she could have been a star, but we'll never know.
We'll
Maybe
never
if
know.
there's ever a sequel. And okay, I have to ask, where's the mannequin now? Is it in your apartment or in your home? Because that would be terrifying in the middle of the night if you came across the mannequin from your film.
Yeah, so there's three of them out there. One of them is on the deck of my apartment with like a plant that doesn't have its head. A plant's coming out of its head,
Oh,
and I've got the head of it over here on the shelf with the initiation mask in a display case. And then I had the other like the full-bodied hero mannequin here in the loft for a while, but honestly, I just after like a year, I was like, I'm over this. And so once we started premiering the movie and screening it, we would bring the mannequin to the red carpet, and the mannequin got a lot of social media time on the Scream Fest red carpet back in October. And so instead of bringing it back up here, I just left it in my garage. And long story short, somebody that lives in my building is a fashion designer. And today, actually, he has a pop-up in downtown and one of his mannequins broke. And he just hit me up and asked if he could use it. And I was like, hell yeah, you can. Told him like you just have to tell people like this is a potentially possessed mannequin. So
right. Don't get too close. Don't look her in the eye, and you'll be fine. Right.
yeah,
There's
I
some
also
ground.
just love
There's some
the
ground
idea.
rules you have to follow.
I love the idea of like the mannequin just circulating in the fashion world some way.
Yes, yes. Wouldn't it be funny if someone recognized it? Like, hey,
Yeah.
that mannequin looks familiar.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. So you mentioned this a little bit already, but I do want to give a shout out to your first film, Initiation. As you know, I'm a fan. I always tell horror fans to check this out. You said that you wrote the Mannequin screenplay around some of the cast. So we have Lindsay Levanchi, Isabella Gomez, Shireen Lai, and even Maxwell Hamilton are back in the Mannequin. So it was really nice to see them back again for your second film. I think I asked you this before, but what is it like working with all of them? And was it sort of a reunion in some ways with the Mannequin?
It was very much a reunion. It was like, I think Isabella, all of them would call making the movie kind of like a 2 week, because we shot this movie in essentially 2 weeks, 12 days.
Wow.
Um, and basically, all of them would say it was like a quick little summer camp because it's like all nighters, scary things. You're in a spooky building.
Yes.
It was a blast. This movie, it's just so interesting because I feel like, once the pandemic hit, my career just kind of like one thing just kind of led to another, the pandemic. And then I finally get this movie financed and the strikes happen. And so
Mm,
luckily, I didn't join any guilds after initiation and I was able to get the interim agreement for the mannequin. So we
okay.
just were basically like it was an opportunity to like bring everybody back, and it's like we didn't know if it was going to happen, but we kind of knew it was going to happen. There was no reason for it to not to happen. And I wanted to just bring all of my friends back to set and make something. I felt like
Mm,
too I wanted to make a spookier movie. I wanted to make a movie with like that has this like just underlying creepiness to it, still has that human character story.
mhm.
But I wanted to find and figure out a creepiness that I didn't feel like I had found yet with Initiation. And so it was just a blast. We had the greatest time together. I love all of them. We're family. And what makes this project also unique is that so Maxwell Hamilton and Lindsay Levanchi and we all went to UCLA together like 15 years ago.
Mhm.
And working on Initiation was really special. And but what makes the mannequin even more special is, we Jack Sochet in who plays Jack Bernard, and he's
Yes.
also Smile, and Krystle Martin, who plays Ruth Calvert, and she's
Yes.
also in the mean one. They
Yes.
were we
That was
all
my
went
next question. You're like way ahead of me.
yeah,
Oh my God, I love that.
we all
But
went to
keep going.
UCLA together. Like all of us, like we all knew each other. Like Krystle was in my graduating class at UCLA because I studied theater directing and playwriting. She was an
Okay.
actor. Lindsay was a year under us. Max was, I think, a freshman when I was a senior. and Jack was a grad student. But like UCLA's theater program is so small and tight knit, like we all knew each other. And so it's
Mm.
just been so cool to see and celebrate each other the last 10, 15 years and all the successes that we've had independently. And then, you know, during a time of really just sort of unforeseen, like, you know, we don't know what's going to happen with the business, especially currently. But back in 2023 with the strikes, it was just like we didn't know what was going on. So to be
Mm.
able to bring those core UCLA Bruins back together for a movie was just really, really special.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And the reunion factor of it makes it even more awesome. And there's one scene where the three female leads are all sitting on a couch hanging out. And it's very serious, right? The script, there's a very serious discussion at hand. But it almost seemed like these are just three real friends hanging out and having a good time, and that vibe sort of comes through nicely. So my next question I have for you is, I think you're very skilled at creating very intense scenes. So thinking about initiation, that final act is just over the top. Oh my gosh, nonstop adrenaline rush. And you've accomplished that here with the mannequin as well. The garbage disposal scene comes to mind, and I won't give anything away, but oh my God, it's so good. My question is, what is your approach to creating those really intense moments in your films? Because, like I said, you do it so well.
It's an interesting question. I would say that the best answer I could give for that would be I allow the camera to follow the character. I would say is probably like the most like real
Yeah.
physical answer I could give you. I like to allow the audience to discover the craziness as the characters do. And I think
Mhm.
that, you know, like for example, at the beginning of a movie, they don't like, you know, they don't know it's like I love a really like, you know, those roller coasters where it's just amping up, amping up, amping up, amping up,
Mhm.
and you're like, wait, are
Mhm.
we gonna drop? Are we gonna drop? Like, you don't like this is a long time before,
Yeah.
and then it just
What have I done? Yes.
exactly. That I love movies that do that. And like I would
Yeah.
say even growing up, like, you know, some of the crazy dramas, like, you know, Todd Field's earlier films, like, and I'm bringing up dramas because Todd
Mhm.
Field movies like In the Bedroom, Little
Yes.
Children, those are
Yeah.
horror movies. Those are point blank,
Mhm.
like if Little Children were to come out nowadays, 20 years later, A24 Neon would pick it up and sell it as a horror film, like hands
Yeah.
down, like because there's just this haunting nature to
Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely. In the bedroom too.
suburbia, and yeah,
Mhm.
they're just creepy. And I feel like his movies all have that slow burn beginning, and then the ending is just freaking crazy. And like
Yeah.
you're waiting for it, and it's just so intense. And um, you know, I would say like I very much grew up watching those kinds of movies, along with, of course, Scream and all those other, you know,
Yeah.
horror
Of
classics.
course. Yeah.
But you know, it was very much a cool sort of like, you know, way to just bring about the energy of everything is just following the character.
Mhm. And it's almost like you're experiencing it with them, like the
Mhm.
chase scenes and initiation. It's like you're almost running along with the characters, and that intensity really comes through and makes it more of a, I don't know, like an active viewing experience rather than a passive
Ab-
experience.
Absolutely. My
Yeah.
phone alarm is going off. Just give me 1 second.
Oh, okay. No problem.
Sorry about that.
I couldn't hear
All right,
it at
I'm
all,
back.
but I could imagine how that would be jarring
It was
to,
just
to
that.
you.
Could you hear it? I was like, is
I
that
couldn't. No, no.
I didn't know what it was, and then I realized, oh my gosh, my phone's ringing. So
No
apologize.
worries. I was interviewing someone the other day, and she's like, "Can you hold on a second? There's someone standing at my window." I was like, "Oh, that's like a
Creepy.
horror movie in itself." But then it turned out it was just her gardener. Um, okay,
Still a horror
okay.
movie.
Where,
Still a horror.
where were we? All right. So with initiation, there's a social commentary aspect to it, and social media plays a major role. And there's a lot that the audience takes away from that film. With the mannequin, I feel like you've gone more in a slasher, sort of ghostly thriller possession direction. But thinking of initiation and what you'd like the audience to take away, is there something in the mannequin, or what would you like the audience to react to in a similar way as with initiation?
Well, I think, it's interesting. When your art hits market, you're asked that question all the time, like, what do you want the audience to take away? What do you want the audience to take away? And I remember with
Mm.
initiation, I was very deliberate in the social commentary of it. I was very
Yes.
like, it was very much ingrained in the plot of the movie and the mystery of it.
Mhm.
The mannequin, I was like, how can I do that? Like, still like say what I want to say with my voice as a filmmaker, but be less overt with it. So
Yes.
when it came to writing the movie and pitching it to people, I was like, it's Sex in the City meets The Exorcist. Bada bing, bada boom. That's what it is. It's Sex in the City with some exorcism
There's some
possessions. Like,
possessions. Yes.
that's what it is. Um, but like, if you look into and look past that, you know, four
Hmm.
girls become possessed by, a spooky killer. Like, if you look past that, there are very much underlined imagery, story points about the control of the female body and men controlling women's bodies. And just, the beginning of the movie, that opening scene is very much, someone saying,
Yes.
well, I'm going to make your body look the way I want it to. And
Right.
if you kind of think about that particular issue or that sort of
Hmm.
realm of commentary, it's very much heavily ingrained in the goal of the killer, or the killer's ghost, is to
Yes.
control women's bodies.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to touch upon that, so I'm happy that you did bring that up, because it is all about control in life, right? He wants to control these models that are working for him, and then in the future, when he is a ghost and possessing the young women. I'm trying
Right.
not to give anything away, so I do love the premise. I think it's just fantastic. The next question I have, and we did touch upon this a little bit, but what was the vibe like on set, and were there any memorable behind the scenes moments that you could share?
Oh yeah, I mean, the whole movie was just like a blast to shoot. Like, I can't even stress, like, I think whenever you're like, the one thing about me is I'm a huge storyboarder. I storyboard everything. Like, just because I think I'm a visual artist, I feel like as a director, it's easier for me, or a writer, I should say, it's easier for me to write a better script. I feel like my script gets better when I hit the storyboard stage. So it's just sort of something that it's not like, oh my God, I got a storyboard. It's like, yes, I finally get to storyboard my script. And so, I think it's just because I've been drawing my whole life. That's why it's just an easy thing for me to do. So because I was like, I had every shot kind of, roughly mapped out based on our location, I was able to shoot this movie in 12 days. And, I'm talking like about 2 to 3 takes per shot. So I had to know
Wow.
exactly what I wanted. And I had to be very communicative with the team. And, Maxwell Hamilton, he is an actor in the movie, but he was also one of the lead producers, along with Ashley Rosenberg. And they, like, I mean, as a producing duo for a low, windy budget movie, like, they hands down like carried us through many potential disasters. Like, I mean, we're talking potential car wrecks. We're talking potential, I mean, like with
Oh.
the whole SAG waiver, like, it was just crazy how, we literally were not told that we could go into production until about 6 days before we had to go into production. So it's like, we were kind of like, are we going to do it? Are we not going to do it? We have to start spending money, like,
Mm.
it was very much a gamble, a risk, but having a team of people, there to just make sure that we could get this movie made during both the SAG and WGA strikes was important, but also very thrilling.
Mm.
And you're like, damn, like, we're actually giving people work during a time when nobody's working. So with that spirit, I think everybody came to set like so jazzed. Like there
Yeah.
was no there was no drama. It was, you know, beyond like the typical set things, but like it was just a really fun set. I mean, we spent like majority of our time doing all-nighters from like, you know, 6 to 6 or yeah, 6 to 6. So it's like you really learn how to grow with, you know, your team whenever you
Mm.
kind of shoot in those more vulnerable hours, and you really see like what people need. And I mean, like the garbage disposal scene, like that was our last shot of the day of the shoot. So like we
Mhm.
had like the production manager who's been like lugging yerba mates every day for all of us, you know, moving things like, you know, the producer
Mhm.
Ashley, she was like, you should ask if she wants to help out with the blood rigging. So I was like, hey, do you want to do the blood rigging? And she was just like, hell yeah.
Oh my
So like,
gosh.
you
Yeah.
know,
Sign
the
me up.
final shot, you had the entire like team just like being a part of the making of that
Mm.
shot. And so in that garbage disposal scene, the final shot of it, just know the
Yikes.
entire team of our very small production, like if you watch the credits of the mannequin, it lasts like 2 to 3 minutes. It's a small team. All of us were just behind the camera, like, and you know, just like ready to celebrate, like actually completing this movie successfully in 12 days.
Mm. Mhm.
It was a marathon. It was just like the greatest experience.
That's incredible. I love to hear that. And I have to say, that garbage disposal scene, oh my God, there's just something about that. Uh, Fingers, garbage disposals. I'm going to leave it at that. Like I said, I don't want to give anything
The
away.
fear people have, you know?
Yeah, what is it about the garbage disposal? I guess losing your fingers or
Yeah, when you
there's
know
just something.
nowadays you have to VFX out the logo of the actual garbage disposal because of I think it was the
Oh,
show
like
Heroes in
Kenmore.
from NBC. There was some
Yeah.
lawsuit, yeah, over a scene. So like we made sure and had that all taken care of.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I think mine is a Kenmore now that you mention it. So you'd have to edit that out. But I was just going to say, like, fingers breaking in horror movies. There's nothing more cringeworthy. And I think you've added to the list of movies that will make you cringe. So if you haven't seen The Mannequin and you like cringeworthy scenes, make sure to check it out as soon as you can. Uh, let's see. My next question for you is about the premieres and consuming or experiencing your film with a live audience consuming it. What was that like? And what was the reaction from the audiences?
I will say, because keep in mind, Initiation didn't have that because of the pandemic.
I
So I never
know. I know.
see
Yeah.
Initiation with a live audience,
Mm.
except we had one test screening. And then we had like one screening was predominantly cast and crew, you know, when it came out. But um, I will say that the Mannequin, the Screenfest screening was just overwhelmingly positive. We had a lot of test screenings for this movie, and I
Okay.
got to see it in front of an audience or with an audience in the very early stages of editing. And I remember after that first test screening, I was like, oh, this is fun. This like the overall, the general feedback, you know, was overwhelmingly positive. People had a fun time watching it. And that was
Mhm.
what we want. We just want people, we want to make sure people jumped with the right jump scares. They were creeped out when they needed to be creeped out, and they had a good time. And so that, you know, it's always humbling to watch your movie with an audience, but to watch it like completely finished, surround sound, 5:1 in the Chinese
Yeah.
theater, you know, with a very, very receptive audience was just like the most amazing experience. And I'm really excited. You know, I feel like um I'm excited to see, like, you know, like we had one screening, like a private screening, I want to say about a year ago, and
Mm.
that like was nearly a packed house at like a privately rented theater. And like, you know, I love to sit in the back, and when you sit in the back, you see like the audience just jump. When it's almost like you feel like a conductor sitting in the back, and you just
And
see
like you can
them
see them
there,
moving.
they jump. Oh, there's a jump.
Yeah.
There's a scream. Like it's just like you just see the
Mhm.
wave ripple effect of kind of what you did.
Yeah. Yes. Hopefully, no. Get off your phone. Nothing like that.
Uh,
Um,
you
yeah,
can't
I
stop
joke.
that, right? I will say
Yeah.
though, like, when making this movie, I did think like, when I would listen to podcasters talk about initiation, they'd be like, well, I was on my Game Boy, whatever, my Nintendo Switch, whatever, while it was on. And I'm thinking to myself, like, damn, like that's how people watch movies now. So it's like,
Mm,
even in editing the movie, hopefully you make a movie hoping that people give it the full attention. But nowadays it's really hard to really like expect that, especially with, a movie
yeah.
that comes out digitally. So how can you make a movie that can be fun for people to watch if they want to check their phone too?
Hmm. That's true. That's a good way to think about it. Um, let's see. My next question is, I'd like to ask this. If you could describe your movie using other movies like Alien meets Predator, um, what films come to mind? I'm sure you get this a lot. How did you
Yeah,
pitch The Mannequin? There you go.
I pitched it as Sex in the City meets
You already
yeah,
said that, yeah.
yeah. I mean, or I feel like actually I say The Exorcist now. I pitched it as Sex in the City meets Hereditary
Mhm. I could
because
see
of
that.
the familial elements in the mannequin, with the sisters and other stuff. Like I felt like Hereditary, that was very much like part of the inspiration for the mannequin was, I mean, I saw Hereditary when it came out in is that
Oh, good.
2018, I say,
Mm.
2019. And,
Mhm.
like I wasn't ever a possession film watcher. Like I'd watch them, but they didn't really scare me like slasher movies did because
Mhm.
I mean, maybe because I grew up Catholic, I was just like, whatever, like I was forced into it, every Sunday. So I felt like this
Yeah.
like religion, paranormal element of it. Just I never bought into it. But then I
Mm.
saw Hereditary and I was like, oh my God, that freaked. I mean, it was scary. It was a scary, freaky, disturbing film.
So
Um,
good. Yeah.
and so like, how could I like, you know, pull some of those creepy elements into my own fun kind of like girlfriend chick
Mm.
flick? But
Yeah. Well, you accomplished it, so congratulations there. Would you ever do a sequel? Are you done with The Mannequin? And if not, what's next for you?
I would absolutely do a sequel if somebody was like, here's the money to do it, or
Yeah.
like I
Mhm.
know where to find. Like I think the thing is with when you release a movie digitally, it is not like a theatrical release. It's like the movie finds its audience in a different timeline than movies that have the
Mm.
press and advertising that a theatrical release has. So we'll
Yeah.
see over the next hopefully like year how the movie like finds its audience, but I do think it is a movie that's very much set up for a sequel. I mean, Initiation was too, but I felt like I
Yes,
wanted this
absolutely.
movie to have like a cap on it in a way that Initiation didn't. But
Mm.
really, what's next for me is I'm really excited because it's already been announced. But I over the summer I got in touch with Christopher Pike. And ultimately, when I was a little boy, I read Die Softly, one of
Mhm.
his books. I was in middle school. Definitely shouldn't have read that book in middle school, but I did. And ultimately, I was just obsessed. It was very much it really inspired me at a young age. And I ended up in junior year of high school. I made my own movies as a kid, and I ended up writing Die Softly into my own like hour-long film as a kid. And, like for years, I've had this movie or this book that I've wanted to make to a movie. And so I just kind of like figured out how to get in touch with Pike over the summer. And long story short, we closed on an option agreement for me to adapt Die Softly into a feature
Oh
film.
my
So
gosh,
that's
that's
what I'm
amazing.
working on. I'm
So
really
you're
excited.
writing, are you working on the script now? How far along
Yeah,
are
the
you?
book's right here. No, the script's we've got a full pass of the script. We're in the development financing stage. So ultimately we're starting to reach out to see, I think that it's when you if you want to get into the movie business, you have to understand that you have to have the mentality for the long game. And if
Yes.
it happens quicker, then you're lucky. So
Mm.
think that that's kind of the mentality is that we're in it for the long game. And I developed a really great, relationship with Christopher Pike. Just like we would chat on the phone for hours. Like he's just it was so kind of crazy talking to this
Oh,
writer that
wow.
I
Yeah.
read, it's kind of like talk, literally I would say very equally influential on me as like Kevin Williamson was. So
Mm.
it was just really crazy to just become friends with somebody. And he loved Initiation. He loved The Mannequin even more. So I feel really excited to see what this creative partnership kind of turns into.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. And you know, when I first saw Initiation, I never would have guessed that I would be talking to you, not once, but twice. So for your new project, maybe a year from now, is that too optimistic? Maybe a year
Probably
from
way too
now,
optimistic, but
2
maybe
years.
two. We'll see. I think that, but anything could happen, you know? I feel like Die
Mm.
Softly, if there is a project that does pick up quickly, it would be this type of IP.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, keep me updated. You're welcome to come back on at any time. As you probably know, I guess that goes without saying.
It'd be my pleasure.
Yes. Well, John, congratulations on The Mannequin. Let me just hold it up one more time. If you're watching and you haven't seen it, make sure to check it out as soon as possible. I do have a physical copy here. You can get it on Amazon. How else can people watch it? Is it also streaming?
Yeah, it's I believe going to hit AVOD, so I believe it's going to be on Tubi very soon, probably within the next weekish, if not 2 weeks. But
Okay.
you could buy or rent it on Amazon and Apple, or yeah, at Amazon, Apple, anywhere that you can buy or rent, you'll be able to find it.
Yes. So by the time this posts, you can watch it on Tubi. And if you're a physical media fan like I am, get a copy of the Blu-ray. So John, you've been through this before. As you know, I like to do a this or that segment. I've got some ready to go. I ask you two things. You basically just pick one or the other. Just go with your gut. It's usually kind of fun. And in most cases, there's no right or wrong answer. So the first one I have for you is Tourist Trap from 1979. I'm sure you expected that on the list. Or Alice, Sweet Alice from 1976.
Oof. Tourist Trap.
Yeah, those mannequins, right? There's so many
Yeah.
mannequins. They can be
Yeah.
scary, and they are
And I think
very
I think
scary.
they're remaking that. It's up
Oh,
Disney. I remember maybe it was about a yearish ago, but Disney announced that they were doing a remake of it.
like a PG-13 remake?
Hopefully
not. Yeah, hopefully not. Well, I remain optimistic. We'll see what comes
I feel
of
like
that.
the movie House of Wax was that remake anyway.
Yeah, that was fun. I liked
The
that.
House of
Yeah.
Wax is essentially Tourist Trap, but they steal the House of Wax
Oh,
kind of.
yes. Yeah, I see
idea.
what you mean. Oh, it absolutely is. Yeah, that's a fun film. Okay, really tough one here. Do you like potato chips or popcorn?
I mean, I would say it depends on the flavor.
Oh my
So
gosh. Okay. How
yeah,
about white cheddar popcorn or sweet and sour, or no, sour cream and onion potato chips, not sweet and sour?
I would say white cheddar popcorn in that scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Except it gets all over your fingers. That's my biggest
But then
complaint.
you get to lick your fingers at the end.
Oh, that's true, right?
All chips and popcorn get on your fingers.
Yes, yes. You're making me hungry. Okay, so I've got Jeepers Creepers from 2001, the first one, or Pumpkinhead from 1988.
I'm going to say Jeepers Creepers 2001, just because I saw that movie first. And it definitely, that was the first movie review I ever wrote for my high school paper.
Oh, cool. Then I chose well. My God, talk about a road trip from hell. That one's at the top of the list. Maybe, yeah, that's at the top of the list. Okay, vacation here. Would you want to go on a week-long cruise or a lakeside campground retreat?
A lakeside campground retreat, because I don't trust the ocean. I mean, I live in LA.
Yes. Yeah.
You're not going to get me anywhere near the ocean. No, thank you.
I've never been on a cruise, so I'm with you on that.
I think the ocean's got aliens under it. We don't know what's under it. Like, I think I legit think it's the most terrifying place to be next to,
Yeah. Yeah, I would take that. I mean, think about all the summer camp slashers. I think you have a better chance of surviving
hands
at the
down.
the campgrounds. Just get in your car and drive away, right?
Exactly. You're stuck on the.
Yeah. Yes. There you go. If your friend goes missing, don't go look for them. Just drive away. Where am I? Oh my gosh. Chucky or Annabelle?
Chucky. I would say Chucky because he physically kills. Annabelle.
Yes.
Annabelle's, I feel like Annabelle's more of the mannequin, you know what I'm saying? Whereas
Yes.
Chucky is like, if
Mm,
the mannequin were to like suddenly come to life and pick up a knife and start killing people.
right. And he has a great personality, right? Other than
Yeah.
the killing aspects of it. But
He
thinking,
talks.
look, exactly. Look at Annabelle, though. Look at all the films. So Mannequin 2, 3,
Yeah,
4.
yeah. I mean, but look at all the
Mm,
Chucky films and the TV series.
possibilities are endless. I
Possibilities.
think
Yeah, I mean, I think
you're on to something. Yeah.
there's those are very polarized, very opposite end of the doll world, like, and we
Yes.
had to think that with the mannequin. It was like, do I want to make a mannequin that like moves, or do I want to make the movement of the mannequin more real world? Like, and
Mhm.
I could have gone the direction of the Chucky doll, but I decided to stick with the direction of the
Yeah.
Annabelle doll purely because of the possession element.
Yes. Well, and the Annabelle is more of a serious, kind of scary
Right.
tone, right? Chucky's
Exactly.
kind of slapstick and,
More
kind of
goofy.
like like the later Freddy Krueger joke, the jokes about it. Okay, let's see. Would you want to spend the night at the Abaddon Hotel from Hell House LLC or the Lambert House from Insidious? The
The
further.
Lambert house. The Lambert house
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that house is in like just down the street from me. It's somewhere in LA. It's
Really?
like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, like all of those Insidious movies they film in an area that's, like American Horror Story, the murder house, the first season.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
That's in
Oh,
the
so
west.
good.
That's in the west. That's near the West Adams district, which is like the same house of where they had 6 Feet Under,
Yep.
and it's like right near USC. And like a lot of, I mean, Ouija, the first Ouija, that was filmed right outside of USC's campus. All those Victorian-looking homes are all in that area.
And do people live in them? A lot of them, or are
Yeah,
they?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Wow.
Now, I do feel like the Insidious may have also moved to Georgia at some point, but I don't remember. I feel like it's all been California. I could be wrong though.
I think so. I'm not sure. We're getting a sixth one this August, I believe. Should be good. Actually got to talk with Lynn Shay recently. By the time we post this, I think my interview with Lynn Shay will have posted. So
Oh my God,
um,
iconic.
more
One of my
more
favorite
Insidious
movies of her.
films. Yes. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
more, but she's the fun of them in a way, like her and her
Yes.
little
Yeah.
Ghostbusters duo. But
Mhm.
I remember I connected the dots that she's the tan lady and there's something about Mary.
Oh yes. Yes.
Have you seen that? You've seen something about
Oh
Mary.
yeah, I know. She
She's
kisses
the
her
tan lady in
dog
that.
and
Like, oh my God. That was the most epic connection. And I feel like I made that connection when I was watching Insidious 3 or something. I was like, oh my gosh, she's the tan lady. I didn't realize it until like, a few years after.
And you probably know she's in A Nightmare on Elm Street too, right? The teacher
She's
everyone
the teacher,
knows.
yeah.
Everyone knows
Yeah.
that. And Dead
Well, that's what I
End
feel
is
like people connect her with is the Nightmare on Elm Street.
that small scene that she's in. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, I digress here. A few more Pieces from 1982. The Bastards. I love that scene. Or Slumber Party Massacre, also from 1982.
Slumber Party Massacre,
Mhm.
Deborah DeLisso, hands down.
Yeah,
She's an
so good.
initiation. She's,
Yeah.
very much, she's family.
Mm. Yes, love that one. Okay, directors here. I've got Bob Clark or Brian De Palma.
Okay, so I'm gonna say Bob Clark for starting. He's Black Christmas, right? Yeah,
Yes.
starting the slasher franchise, like truly starting it.
Yes. I love that
But
movie.
I will also say that, like, I would like, believe it or not, I get like I am compared a lot to Brian De Palma with my, like, a lot of people say
I
my
could see
films
that.
are not like De Palma films. So it's like,
Mhm.
you know, maybe I'm going to say split here. I'll say split.
Both split. Yeah, and Brian De Palma, didn't he do Phantom of the Paradise? So you could argue that we wouldn't have the Rocky Horror Picture Show if we never got
Without De
Phantom of the
Palma.
Paradise.
Absolutely.
There you
Absolutely.
go. We're making connections here.
Scarface.
Yes.
And also what I loved about De Palma was he attempted the Black Dahlia in like the mid 2000s. It got a lot of like polarizing responses, but I love that sort of feeling of that like old Hollywood, LA
Yeah.
crime murder mystery I wanted in the Mannequin. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm split.
And that reminds me, I don't think I mentioned this. I love the intro to the Mannequin because you really captured sort of the essence of the 1950s, I believe, and the coloring, the setting, the costumes. It just looks fantastic. So I don't have a question. I just wanted to give you a shout out there. Okay, two more. I've got Candyman or the Tall Man from Phantasm.
Candyman, hands down. Yeah,
Yeah.
Candyman, just urban horror. Urban horror. We need more of it.
Mhm. Agreed. Agreed. Okay, very last one here. The Halloween franchise, so all of the Halloween films, or the Friday the 13th franchise, all of the Jason Friday the 13th films.
I'm gonna say Halloween because I know that like Jason is essentially a one of the true sort, like a lot of people equate like, oh, they're the same, but in reality, like
Mhm.
Friday the 13th was conceived and designed as a pure copy of Halloween's success.
Yes.
So I'm gonna just say Halloween for that one.
Mm.
But
Okay.
I'm excited for the new series, the Peacock
Yes.
A24 series. Yeah, Krystle
Yeah.
and the
Yeah, it looks
Catalini.
so good.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I was just see they had some behind the scenes pictures that I just saw come up today. It looks fantastic.
I'll
Well,
look it up.
John, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for chatting with me again. One last time, congratulations on the Mannequin. If you haven't watched, check it out as soon as possible. And if you haven't seen Initiation, look at that perfect double feature. Check this one out as well. So, John, my very last question for you is how can folks find you on social media if you want to be found?
You can find me on Instagram at my name, John Berardo.
Awesome. I will flash that on the screen. If you're watching, like and subscribe because it helps my channel. And John, one last time, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's always super fun to chat with you.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Bye, everyone.